through Saturday on CNN.
This is CNN.
Scotty, Barker.
Okay, literally I can hear now.
Hot mic, my guy. And you're all here.
Hello and a very warm welcome, everyone. I'm Isa Soares coming to you live from Windsor for President Donald Trump's second state visit. But tonight we do begin the hour with breaking news. The U.S. Federal Reserve announcing its latest interest rate decision as the country faces a slowing labour market and President Trump's expansive tariffs. I want to go straight to our Richard Quest to help us break down the numbers. And Richard, do we have a sense of what that decision is? Markets pricing in 25 basis points here.
And that's exactly what they got. It's just been announced from the Fed that interest rates will be cut by a quarter point, 25 basis points. I'm going to lean over to the left while I grab the statement, which is just printing over here, because the interesting thing is also not only what they voted for, how they voted, and what all members did. Now, here we go. Voting for monetary policy was most of them. There it is. There, right at the bottom. This is the important. This is the interesting, not so much important, but interesting bit. Isa, voting against this action was Stephen Mirren, who preferred to cut the rate by 50 basis points, half a percentage point. That is interesting because Stephen Mirren is Donald Trump's pick to take one of the vacant seats, fill a vacant seat, and he was only confirmed yesterday. The vote to confirm him happened late last night. So not only has Donald Trump got his person onto the Fed board, that man voted for a twice larger rate cut than the rest of the board. One other thing to note, Lisa Cook, she is the Fed governor that Donald Trump's trying to sack, who a court ruled could sit today and yesterday. She voted for the 25 basis points. So the cat is amongst the pigeons here.
Yeah, I mean, interesting that Stephen Mirren, the newly confirmed governor, has the way he's asking for 50 basis points. And this has been described, Richard, as one of the most politically charged decisions, an unprecedented meeting. Do you have a sense in terms of, if you looked at the dot plot, what the guidance is? And of course, we'll hear from Jay Powell a bit later in about 25 minutes or so. Do we have a sense of how others voted? I know you're still trawling for all the papers.
From your words to from your lips to my producer's ears, we're just printing the dot plot even as we speak, because that comes with other notes to it. I think, look, the politicization of the Fed is now well and truly underway. The fact that Mirren couldn't go, even just to not so he didn't scare the horses, he couldn't go for 25 basis points. And the reason I say this is because the other two candidates, the other two governors who did, Christopher Waller and Michelle Baumann, they both went for 25 last time and they went for 25 this time. In other words, they're going with the majority. It is Stephen Mirren who is just basically sticking two fingers up at the rest of them, saying, I mean, we can only interpret this as being my former boss, if you will. I was head of chief economic advisor. He wants 50 basis points. He's put me here. I think there should be 50 basis points. I'm just going to, here we go. I've got a whole load of the dot plot coming here now. I'll get to it in a second when we have a look at it. This is very dangerous.
Whilst you look for that, I'm going to ask Kate. Kate, can you bring up the Dow Jones as well? Very much priced in. Of course, we hear from Jay Powell, and I think we'll get a better sense, Richard. And I think a lot of people will be listening to how he frames this, the words he used, the language, in terms of what are we likely to see in the next meetings. This is going to be crucial here.
Yes, I mean, he's going to have to explain. The explanation of the quarter point is really quite straightforward. He's made it clear there is a balance of risks when you have your two sides of your mandate, full employment and inflation, and they are in conflict. You balance which is the most important at the moment. And clearly unemployment is more important, or the employment picture is more serious at the moment. But he's going to have to answer questions about the fact he now has a Fed governor in Stephen Mirren, who's clearly there to do the president's business. Whatever you say, there is that, Waller and Bowman didn't go for 50 basis points. They were the, if you will, the stalwarts for a rate cut. So now you're going to have the question, if you get rid of Lisa Cook and you get rid of Powell next year when his term's up, you end up with a majority which you can then finagle elsewhere. Looking at the dot plot, Josh is also looking at it and will be telling me if he sees anything particularly interesting in the dot plot. The way I see it at the moment, rates are coming down. If we take a closer look at the dot plot, we'll have it for you later. But rates are coming down, and they're going to probably come down faster than the market would otherwise. I mean, the market's up because of that, by the way, but they're going to come down faster than I suspect Jerome Powell would like, and that's because there is this shift of balance within the Fed now, and that majority, it's unique for us to have heard the President of the United States, as we did with Donald Trump, talk about we will have a majority. You don't have a majority on the Fed. They basically vote as they see fit.
Yeah, and the Fed, as you and I have been discussing, have been facing unprecedented attacks to its independence. Richard, I know you'll stay across this. Of course, we'll bring this. Have you got it there? We'll be across the latest numbers. We'll also be listening in to Jerome Powell, who speaks in less than 24 minutes time, and obviously the questions probably the most interesting part of that, and some sense of guidance, I think, will be crucial. Sure. Richard Quest, as always. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Welcome back, everyone, to Windsor. This is where we have been looking at the pomp, the pageantry and protest. We're going to leave the financial markets for just a moment because all eyes have been on US President Donald Trump's historic second state visit to the UK. And what a lavish welcome he has received. And it began with the President and the First Lady were greeted by the Prince and the Princess of Wales ahead of a private meeting. A royal source described it as a warm and friendly. Later, the Trumps took a carriage ride with King Charles around the grounds of Windsor Castle. They were also treated to a flyover by the Red Arrows, the British Air Force's aerobatic team, of course. Next hour, the President and the King are expected to speak during a state banquet. And while the royal family was rolling out the red carpet for the President, anti-Trump protesters were out in full force miles away in central London, about 25 miles or so from where we are. Some came dressed as other world leaders, such as Russian President Vladimir Putin, as you can see, holding a sign that read "War Criminals for Trump," and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu bearing a sign that read "Murderers for Trump." CNN's Elena Trines joins us now. And Elena, we are seeing a very clear divide, right, between the protests here, the pomp on this side in Windsor. But I'm guessing a lot of these protests, President Trump won't be seeing them, Elena.
No, and I think that's by design, Isa. I mean, he's not spending any time really in the heart of London apart from his, overnight stay last night. But he immediately traveled here. He'll be staying at Windsor this evening after that state banquet.